Welcome to Reinvent Impossible, the podcast that gives you the tools to inspire your greatness and enhance your strengths. Here's your host, psychotherapist, life empowerment expert, and coach, Beverly Glazer.
Imagine if you worked your whole life to become an Olympian, a figure skating champion, and you made it. And then you became a sports celebrity and you traveled the world. Imagine how devastated you would be if you were on top of that world and then suddenly it came crashing down around you. How do you build yourself up? Keep listening. I'm Beverly Glazer. I'm a therapist and empowerment expert for women over 50, boomers and beyond. And I help women live their purpose. And in this episode, you are going to meet Barbara Berezowski, who's an Olympian, an inductee, honored in the Sports Hall of Fame. And Barbara, it's both an honor and a privilege to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you, Beverly. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm so touched by that. Thank you.
No, this is you. To reach Olympic status, let me tell you, that was something, absolutely something. And I'm just in awe.
Thank you.
Because I was that little girl, okay. I got my first, it was a Barbara Ann Scott doll.
Yes.
My aunt brought that from, I don't know from where. And I didn't even know who Barbara Ann Scott was. But I learned, because my mother made a big thing about that. It was a pink costume. It had white skates. It was beautiful. And I wanted to be that little girl. I put on those skates. Let me tell you, I was no Barbara Ann Scott or anyone else.
Well, none of us are when we begin.
But you not only, you hit Olympic status. That's incredible. How old were you when you first started skating? When did you put on your first pair of those white skates?
I was around 6 or 7 years old.
Uh-huh.
And my two cousins took me to an outdoor rink for the very first time. And they said that all I would do is let go of their hands. I was frustrated because they were trying to hold me up. And I kept saying, let me go, let me go. And I went. And from that moment on,
wow.
I knew that figure skating was something I wanted to do.
That is fantastic. If that was me, I would be holding on for dear life. So.
Well, I certainly would be right now at this age.
That was absolutely fantastic. So did you get encouragement for that? Like, were you given lessons? Like what? You became an Olympian. You weren't just a skater.
No, it actually, Beverly, started when I was quite young. I was an only child, and my parents gave me two options. They wanted to keep me busy with an extra activity. So they said, you have a choice of playing the piano or learning how to play a piano or figure skating. And I sat there and I thought, playing the piano, that's probably just me by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And figure skating, I'd be out on the rink with a bunch of friends. So it was a no-brainer. Figure skating is what I chose, and that's what I went with. And then when I was about 8 or 9, my parents took me to Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto
right.
to watch ice follies.
Right.
And I was bitten by the bug. I was in awe of the beautiful lights and music and costumes and brilliant skating. And I just sat there as a little girl and I said, I'm going to be doing this one day.
Wow.
And I was driven from that moment on to get there. And I finally did.
Amazing. Well, you know what? I was one of those girls in the audience too. And I never got there.
Well, there was a lot of luck, I guess.
More than that. Oh, yes. It took work. It took dedication. It took focus. It took energy. It took everything, and that, to reach Olympic caliber is really quite incredible.
Thank you. Yes, it was a lot of work. many years, many hours on the ice in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't forget the fact that my parents sacrificed an awful lot for me for skating. I mean, it cost them money. They had to drive me to the rink. They had to pick me up from the rink.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard though. I was doing homework at 10 and 11 o'clock at night to make sure that schoolwork was done before I could go to the rink in the morning the next day. So it was a lot of effort, but to me at that time, it didn't seem like effort because I was just so driven. It was my passion.
You loved it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And then after that, you did go to the ice shows.
I did. I went to Ice Follies. Actually, what happened was after we retired from figure skating competitively, we turned professional.
Right.
And we were pursued by Ice Follies, Ice Capades, and Taller Cranston.
Right.
He was putting together a new show. So we were in a dilemma there, a good dilemma, trying to decide which way we were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And because Taller Cranston's ice show was going to be so unique and really based on the quality of skating, that's what we decided to do. So we went with Taller and performed for 2 years with him.
Wow.
And sadly, that show had a lot of financial issues and getting backers and everything. So it was like on the go and then off and on and off. So Ice Follies came knocking again and said, okay, look, are you ready to come to us now?
Right.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes.
So that's when we ended up going to Ice Follies, and I got to live my dream doing that.
Absolutely. And traveling the world as a skating star in the Ice Follies. That everybody's dream. That was marvelous. Just so marvelous. Yes. And so the experiences that you have are really invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And you were on top of the world. And then, you said that you married the man of your dreams and you were just absolutely overjoyed with your 2 little children.
Yes.
And then unexpectedly there was a tragedy and he died.
Correct.
How did you pull yourself up from being on top of the world? And I know I've counseled many, many widows, and it's so hard not only to be a widow, but to have those children and to pull yourself up. And you had also a face to the world that you had to show that everything is fine and you're okay and you're in control and your world is crashing down upon you. How did you do that, Barbara?
Oh, Beverly, it was extremely difficult. I mean, my husband died suddenly and unexpectedly.
Oh, gosh.
And my children were 9 and 10 years old at the time. And honestly, I was in a fog. I mean, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room, and I was walking through mud. Nothing made sense to me. It was very surreal. And I kept expecting to see him walk through the door any second. And it was, my brain couldn't comprehend what had just happened. And I also had my father with us, who lived down the street, which thank God I had him, and he was in his 70s. So he was a concern for me too. I mean, just the fact of telling him what happened, I was afraid he was going to have a heart attack as well. So I had him and my 2 boys to take care of. But together, we bonded even more as a family unit, and we had each other's back. So what I'm trying to get at is, when it first happened, I don't know how, but I had a veil over me, and all I could think about were my children and my father, and what I could do to make it easier for them.
Wow.
I felt so bad that my children were going to be denied a life of growing up with their father. So I was determined to make everything as good as I possibly could to lessen their suffering. Having done that, I didn't realize until 3 months later, when I was almost having a nervous breakdown and I was in the hospital because I was having heart palpitations and shaking and didn't know what was happening. And this nurse came into the room and sat on the edge of my bed after they'd done all the tests and everything was fine. And she looked at me and she said, honey, if you don't start taking care of yourself, how in the world are you going to take care of your children? Who's going to take care of your children if something happens to you?
Right.
Wow. A light bulb went on and I thought, I never realized that. Here I was saying to myself, okay, I don't matter anymore. My life is over. It's all about them. But I never realized that, no, I'm part of that too. I matter. So I learned from that moment on to always take care of myself, because that was an important thing to do, to be there and to be the best self I could be for them.
Yes.
So that changed my life.
Yes.
And then I thought, okay, so here I was traveling the world, living in the spotlight, being a sports celebrity, did everything I did to get to the Olympics with my mindset that I developed as a champion.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, why can't I use those champion mindset skills and apply it to my daily life? If it got me through all those years of skating to where I wanted to go, it must have some sort of power. And that's what I did. So from that day on, I started applying my mindset skills to everything I was doing in life. I mean, I was always staying positive. I was looking at obstacles and challenges as just opportunities to grow and to get better and to get bigger and to get stronger. And day by day, I started to find my inner strength again. Yes. And that's what really propelled me forward into healing on my widow journey.
That's wonderful and inspiring.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What tips can you give other women who are in that same situation?
Well, the first thing, obviously, with that story in mind, is self-care. I mean, there's two rules of widow empowerment. One is to never underestimate the value of your own self-worth. And two, ask for help when you need it. So many of us, you know, in my first days as a widow, people would come by and say, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? And I'd say, oh, no, nothing. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Because a widow doesn't want to be a burden on anyone. Mm-hmm. I can handle it. Right?
Right.
Wrong. You need to reach out and ask for help. The support is out there for anyone who needs it. You just have to ask. So that's really what I try to say to all the widows that I work with, is take care of yourself. There's no guilt in taking care of yourself. It's a necessity. And if you need help, reach out for it.
And ask.
And ask.
What do you love about your life right now?
Oh, well, now many years have gone by. My children have now grown up. One of my sons is engaged. The other son is married and has a little baby granddaughter of mine. So it's like we've come full circle and I'm starting all over again. So I feel so energized and enthused about life. And knowing that, yes, I had the most devastating hardship one could go through, but I have become so much better because of it, because I've become more aware of my skills and how powerful my mindset is. And I teach my children this. I teach my granddaughter this. You know, everyone matters. Everyone has abilities. Everyone has talent. Everyone has the chance to be the best they can be. And you got to grab it, hold on to it, and just let the wings open up and fly.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What does reinvent impossible mean to you?
Well, reinventing the possible means that every single day is a new chance to start again. So if you think something is impossible and you cannot do